have on some of us. At NUI Galway, Dr. Owen Whelan is researching the phenomenon known as technostress.
In the last couple of years, we're noticing that people have an unhealthy use of technology and are really struggling to use technology in a sustainable manner. It's not so much that we're using the technology more that's a problem, it's the fact that we're multitasking or trying to multitask. So for example, you might be using email to communicate with your boss, you might be using your phone to have a conversation with your client, you might be using WhatsApp to interact with your work colleagues, and they're constantly switching. And we found in our study, so that's the real driver of stress. There's a cognitive cost every time that you try to multitask. Actually, if you want to sit down here.
Today, Owen is conducting a unique study on smartphones and allowing me to observe. Owen, tell me about the aim of the study.
So we know that people are compulsive users of modern technology, and that can create stress. But that's when people are actually using the technology themselves. What we think, or what we're hypothesizing, is that people will even get stressed when they're just in the proximity of modern technology like mobile phones. The first thing I do, have you got a mobile phone on you?
I do.
Can you take that out and just make sure that it's switched off? Just double check.
Right, so.
Owen wants to find out if people get distracted when they're denied access to their own smartphones while others are using theirs nearby. This kind of distraction can lead to a type of stress called fear of missing out, or FOMO.
Okay, I'll get you this together. It just goes like a watch. So,
Owen is asking participants to wear bracelets that monitor sweat production. We sweat more when something grabs our attention and when we're stressed. It's a novel approach.
So have been studies looking at the psychological effects, asking people their opinions and do they feel stress, but no one has actually gathered the biological data.
Depending on the findings of today's experiment, Owen hopes to run a full study in the near future. The participants believe they have to complete a writing task. Owen hasn't told them the true nature of the study. Supervisor Matthew is going to use his smartphone in full view of them. During the experiment, Owen sends messages to Matthew's phone. Although they look unfazed, will the monitor data tell a different story?
Lovely, so perfect, so.
No problem.
While we wait for the results of Owen's experiment, I want to find out more about FOMO, and especially how it relates to social media.
People who are using social media, they have this perception that other people are having more exciting lives and more rewarding experiences that they're not involved in. So they start to feel bad about themselves because they're not involved in those experiences, and they tend to use the technology a little bit more.
But it's not just social media and smartphones that lead to technostress. Recent research by Owen on management consultants has revealed that FOMO also extends into work culture.
These guys are just constantly connected to their technology, even at after work in the evening time when they should be relaxing and sitting down with their family and having leisure time. They're just connected to their workplace the whole time. They might have sent their boss an email 2 or 3 hours ago and they're just anxious waiting for a reply. And yeah, we found that people who have a high fear of missing out, they use technology in a problematic way, and that is linked to stress. Not just stress, but lower performance as well in the workplace.
The results of the experiment are in, and Owen has found something particularly interesting in the data from one of the participants.
So if we look at, first of all here in this gap up here, this is their electrodermal activity. So this is a measure of their stress. But then this is the really interesting part here. Between these two lines here, the two timestamps, there was a fairly significant increase in stress. The phone was starting to go off and you could see Matthew actually using his phone. And we see there is a sudden spike in their electrodermal activity, which is a very accurate biomarker of stress. So certainly we can see that there is some sort of a reaction going on here with this particular participant.
Are you as surprised by that as I am? I find that really astonishing.
Yeah, we can see straight away that when people, even when they're not using their mobile phones and to see other people in their proximity using their phones, that generates some sort of stress activity inside them.
Would it be overstating it to say that we're sleepwalking into serious long-term psychological implications?
We're only starting to see the research coming through now. So again, these technologies can be very good for our well-being in some ways, but we're seeing that a lot of people are starting to suffer in terms of mental health problems and anxiety and depression as well. So I don't think that the problem is overstated.